Scouting in Madden franchise can feel pretty overwhelming. There's a lot of complicated menus and a lot of information that gets thrown at you. But in this video, I'm gonna show you exactly what you should be looking for so you can consistently find hidden development trait players and dominate the draft. So to kick things off, we're gonna talk about one of the more underrated things you can do that's really gonna help in your scouting and evaluation process within Madden 27. That is going to be abilities. If you come over here to the coaching ability section and you tab down to scouting, you will see a section dedicated to scouting abilities. Some people say this is a little too overpowered. Some people don't interact with it at all. Some people don't even know it exists. But I am presenting it because it does exist and it is helpful if you are interested in it. So what these do generally is going to be just giving you a percentage scouting buff on specific position groups. With you having a limited staff and being able to only scout, whatever position groups it is that you choose in your scouts, which we'll go over there in just a second, this could be helpful to understand more about all the players in the draft. If I was doing a specific system to this, I would spend my points, my coach points or whatever they're called, on just getting the 5% buff at specific positions, which you can do this on all of them. You don't need any level or anything like that. You just need the coaching points. However, if you want to do it for quarterbacks, you're going to need to be level 48. If you want to do it for receivers, you need to be level 44. Tight end, you need to be level 42. Interior offensive line, 41. And then archetype unlock, you need to be level 30, which I don't think that one's very important. Because, again, we're going to get into it in just a minute. And then you've got the letter range unlock as well as the talent range unlock. If it sounds like I'm speaking gibberish, it's going to be all pretty simple here in just a minute when we get into the actual scouting. But these can be pretty helpful. Anything that makes the more information that you can get more available quickly is a helpful thing. So now we're going to dive into the most important part of this, and that's going to be setting up your scouting staff. You're going to be prompted with one of these tiles that's going to say build the board. If we didn't have a prompt of Lamar Jackson, you could probably see it fully. But you're going to come over here. You can either approve the staff decision or manage scouts. You're obviously going to manage scouts because you want to be as good as possible when it comes to scouting. But before you even click on scouts, the best thing to do is come to the region breakdown. So you're going to come over here, and this is not to say that there's not good players in these specific regions at the position groups that it says are a weakness, but you want to build your scouting staff based on the region strength. So national, it's going to be quarterback, receiver, running back. West is going to be quarterback, running back, edge. Central is going to be halfback, tight end, left edge. Northeast is going to be quarterback, receiver, and center. And then Southeast is going to be receiver and corner. And then it shows the weaknesses for each individual one. So you kind of want to build around the strengths, but you also want to build around what you're actually going to need. So the way that you should be building your scouting staff is starting off with your tier 3. Your tier 3 is going to be your national scout. This scout is going to cover the most ground. They're going to get you the most information. So you want to do that at 2 important position groups that you are going to be looking for. In this Cowboys example, again, I have absolutely slaughtered the roster. It does not matter what position group I go after or look at because the team needs literally everything. But if you're doing, say, the Raiders, you might want to focus on, say, offensive tackle and then a secondary of defensive tackle or something like that. But for this example, I'm just going to choose corner and receiver, and that's going to be my national scout. Next is going to be your 1 and 2 star scouts. For your 1 stars, you want to focus these just specific region, viability. Even if you don't specifically need those position groups, having the good information to be able to draft best player available in the mid rounds or something along those lines out of those regions is automatically going to be helpful. And that is the exact same formula that you should use for your tier 2 scout. Now the tier 2, I will say, if there are, a lot of really good players at a specific position group or a lot of higher top end talent, first, second, third round in a specific region, get your tier 2 scout to focus in that region. So this is how our scouting staff ended up shaking out as soon as I dug in here and I found everything. Now a little refresher as to what these specific areas are good at. National, again, there's a lot of receivers, so we went there. West, running back and edge, perfect. Tight end in the central, and then we have a quarterback in the Northeast. it says middle linebacker is weak here. That could absolutely be true. It's not going to kill your rebuild if you do something like this, but quarterback is a specific position that I want. We want a tier 2 scout to be able to get a good amount of influence, more influence than a 1-star would have given me. So that's why we went here. And then we have another 1-star. We went down to the south. It says strong side linebacker is not that good, but interior offensive line is solid for the south, so we went here. Okay, so when you make it into week 3, you are going to get a prompt right here, one of the tiles. It's going to pop up. It's going to go to scouting regional focus. So I may or may not be editing this in towards the end because I forgot to do it in the first example, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter because we covered it. You want to come in here and you want to set your focus scouting within each individual one. If you do not do this, it will auto-select quarterback. So you hired all these fancy, fun new scouts and stuff, and they do not matter anymore because they're just automatically scouting quarterbacks. Which that one we wanted scouting quarterback anyways. But again, yeah, I'm editing this in and I'm doing this example after I recorded the video because I perhaps forgot. It's easy to skip over that if you're doing sim. So, don't go too hard. Then when you make it to week 8 of the regular season, you can come over here with another prompt that's going to pop up and it's going to say set national scouting focus. Again, you want to make sure you do this and don't be me. Don't be the idiot that I am to where I forgot it because it will default to quarterback if you don't. So we're going to put that at wide receiver. That other point is going to be week 13. Once you make it to week 13, it is going to approach you with this. It's going to say scouting focus players. You're going to get 3 of these. There is a coaching ability somewhere in the game. It might be locked behind a specific archetype to where you can get more focus players. But for this example, it's going to be like a lot of you guys at home. We're only going to have 3 that we're going to be able to choose. Now, I'm not going to do a super deep dive into the board, but I'll explain my philosophy on how I think you should choose these. These should be at positions that you are not getting a tremendous amount of scouting focus on in the first place. So we have no scouting focus in the state of Kansas for a running back, and this guy's projected to be a top 5 pick, so we're going to add him. Same deal with Caleb Reynolds, the left tackle, and then let's say Chris Hampton, the power rusher. We're just going to make that our 3 focus players, but the system is you essentially just want to find really good top-end talent that is within, the ranges that you're not focusing on. So these are all players that we don't have a scout in their specific area to really focus on them. So I'm going to do that. You just hit Y or triangle or whatever you're using. Maybe you're using a keyboard. I'm not judging on the players, and then you select them. And then you hit right stick and then confirm it. So we've officially made it to Pro Days. This is where I would start building my board. There's going to be a lot of information in this section. So come back to it, pull out your notes app on your phone, pull out a notepad, whatever it is. There's going to be a lot of information, and I'm going to cover all of it and give you the best guide that I can here. You'll come over to Weekly Hub. Typically, it's going to say private workouts and something along the line of look at the Pro Day stats. Well, of course, mine is bugged because it's Madden 27. It's an EA Sports product in the year 2026. So why wouldn't it be bugged? If that happens to you, you can just come over to scouting. So now we're actually going to check out the prospects and really start building the board. This is going to be the bulk of your work. First things first. I made a mistake when I was recording this video, but I edited it in so you didn't even know that I made the mistake. I forgot to set my focus scouts so they would scout those specific position groups in the regions. So I know everything there is to know about quarterbacks in this, because if you don't set them, it will auto set to quarterback. So I know everything about the quarterbacks. But typically you would come through here as a receiver and a corner national scout, and I would have like 90 to 95% on all of these receivers. I would know a boatload of information, but it honestly makes the example a little bit better because I'm going to show you how I identify talent without even knowing a lot about these guys. Now, we are going to start off going position by position, and what is going to be the most important. That's obviously going to start with quarterback. Now that we've jumped in here to quarterback, you can hit left trigger and you can go to attributes and physicals. Combine, yes, can be important, and I'm going to show you that more when we get into the offensive and defensive line scouting and analyzing those players. But attributes and physicals are going to be your 2 most important that you're going to look at. I would start with physicals. So we know that there is 2 first-round talent quarterbacks. These would be the guys that I'm going to look at. We go down the board. There's some 3 to 4 round guys. There's some guys that look okay, like Brian Hutton. He's somebody that I added as a favorite, which when you're building the board, you want to hit Y or triangle on your controller if you like a player to add them as a favorite. So it'll build a little favorites menu like this. But back to quarterback. So these are going to be the 2 quarterbacks that I would look at. Somebody like Godfrey being around 2 to 3 talent, I'm not going to take a look at him. I don't care. He's going to be like a 68 to like a 72 overall. He might have a dev trait. He's just not my guy. So we're going to look at Juan McKinney and Zaire Stapleton. So throw power is going to be a big point of emphasis when it comes to quarterbacks. That is the like gotcha stat, because throw power is really, really hard to upgrade in game. You can upgrade a lot of things really easily when it comes to accuracy or like awareness or whatever it is to get their overalls up and make them better players. Throw power comes less commonly. So if you can find a quarterback with good throw power, which would be great to elite, that's the ranges I like to look in, that's probably a good player to draft. Now we have some elites down here, but they're not really good at the football part of it. So I would kind of avoid that, maybe unless you want a project guy that's going to have just an absolute rocket of an arm. But Juan McKinney is going to have that great throw power. He has marginal to poor speed. And then you've got Zaire Stapleton. He has solid speed and good throw power. So Zaire is going to have like 78 to 82 speed. Juan McKinney is going to have like 70 to like 76 speed. I would assume somewhere in that range. And those are going to be the only physicals I'm going to check out for quarterback. That's all I need to know. Then you will go to not combine. You'll go to attributes. Attributes. It's pretty simple. What are his throwing attributes actually like? Somebody like Juan McKinney, really good at everything but throwing on the run. Zaire Stapleton is probably going to be the higher overall quarterback. The thing is, Juan McKinney is going to have the higher upside because he has a bigger arm, so he's probably more likely to have a dev trait. It's not 100% guaranteed. That's not an absolute 1000% science, so don't take that to the bank. But I have noticed higher throw powers, higher physical upsides are going to come with the development traits more so than somebody who's like a refined, like Mac Jones type of player, where he's just really accurate, but he's not really like that great at anything else. It doesn't have like a wow stat. Zaire Stapleton, he's got pretty much A's across the board other than medium accuracy. Everything here is an A. He looks fantastic. Juan McKinney, again, what I was talking about with the physical upside. So personally, if I was drafting, I would go with a player like Juan McKinney, and we'll run through a draft here in just a minute just to kind of show you guys. But that's what I'm looking for when it comes to quarterback. Next up, we're going to dive into running back. This is going to be a very short section of the video. Running backs are really easy to draft. There's a lot of good ones. There are 3 physicals you're going to focus on for running back. It is going to be speed, change of direction, and acceleration and agility. Those are going to be, or I guess it would be 4. Sorry, don't know how to speak. First time being a YouTuber over here. But those are going to be the specific ones that I would focus on. Now, you want to understand their archetypes, which I didn't really cover that with quarterback, but quarterback, it's strong arm, field general, improviser. Those are going to be your best quarterbacks. Scramblers, if you find a scrambler that has elite speed and like great throw power, he's probably a generational player. Just go ahead and draft him. So just sum that up for you. But somebody like Emmett Jenkins, he is a power back. So his change of direction's never really going to be that good. You can go through here to all the power backs. They have virtually no change of direction. That's just the way that it is. If they do have good change of direction, oh my goodness, you've come across an absolute gem, an absolute legend. But he has elite acceleration, which is fantastic. So I would come through here, I would just dive in, look at these. If you're analyzing for later round talents, which you're going to see more good later round talents at other positions that are non-quarterbacks. It is rare that you're going to have like a truly elite quarterback in the later rounds. They really like to bulk them up towards the top. Not to say they don't exist, and I have drafted them in the past, but a bulk of them are going to be towards the top, first, second, third round. Running backs, I would filter by change of direction, speed, just one of these physicals, and find a few guys, and then you come back and fact check it with the pro day to see if that adds up, and then fact check it with the attributes. Attributes, this is going to be a bad example because we got an absolute power back draft. So you're going to see A's everywhere. You'd be like, all these running backs are good. Well, yes, they're all going to be, pretty okay. They are power backs. So they're going to have like A trucking, and they're going to have A break tackle. because it does the calculations in a totality instead of the calculations within the archetype. So within a totality, a power back that has 82 trucking is going to be like A, whereas an elusive back with 82 trucking, that would be like an A plus 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 plus. So that is subjective. So you're going to see a lot of A's for power backs because those things are going to stand out above the rest. When you're scouting the other position group, or the other archetypes, sorry, you're going to see a lot more B's and stuff like that. So like Ronnie Westbrook was somebody that was physically pretty talented. He ran a pretty solid 40 time, pretty solid pro day. He's going to come in with good speed, not great speed. So this is going to be on the lower end of a 4.3. So this might be like 93 speed, something along those lines. But he has good or great change of direction. This is a solid prospect, even though he has all the B's, whereas the other running backs have A's. Now we are going to get into receivers. As you can see, I don't know the talent ranges of any of these guys, but I'll make it simple for you. We're going to come over here to physicals, and it's the same deal. The exact same physicals that I told you to just focus on for running backs, it's the same ones. You're going to focus on those for receivers. Then you'll come back to attributes, and you're going to check this out. The things that you're going to be looking for are route running, catching traffic, and matching them up to archetypes. So a physical receiver is going to have pretty good catch and traffic. Somebody like Jason Wall here that has C to F catch and traffic, but he's a physical guy, but he has A spec catch. I don't think he's going to be that good. You would come back and then you would check, match his physicals up. Maybe he has potential because he has that great or solid speed. Actually, no, yeah. Dude's buns. I don't know what I'm talking about. I mix strength with speed. Jason Wall is buns. If you see a player that looks like that, he's buns. Playmakers, you're going to look for more of the route running types. Deep threats and slots, again, you're going to look for more of the route running. If you see guys with like Fs and stuff like that, it's not automatically a death blow. So deep route running is going to be really rare to find unless it's a deep threat. So just keep that in mind when you are scouting these guys. Just go through here and look for any kind of wow stats and then match it up to their physical profile. Somebody like Andy Kruger looks really, really good. So this is somebody that I would add to my favorites. And then come over here to physicals. I would come and find Andy Kruger. Unfortunately, his physicals don't really match up. So he is kind of like an indifferent kind of player. I don't know that I would really want him. But his actual on-field ability does look pretty okay. We've got another one in Virgil McGee. He's a slot archetype. Looks pretty solid from an actual ability standpoint, except for that medium and deep route running, which again, he's a slot archetype. He's not supposed to be, perfect. And Virgil, as we actually dive in here, is going to be somebody that actually looks pretty good. Yes, he has the solid speed, but he's 5'11", 192. He's only 22 years old, and he has elite acceleration. So this could be a really solid slot receiver down the board. We also see Danny Leach here, absolute physical freak. This is somebody, when you see that elite pop up on the speed category, come over to the combine and you're going to check it out. I wish it would just leave you at the spot you were at on the board, but Danny Leach, he ran a 4.24. This is almost a guaranteed dev trait. I'll just throw that out there. If you see somebody with just freak physicals, it usually is going to lead to a dev trait. Even if they're not the highest overall, it usually will lead to a dev trait. So Danny Leach, that's absolutely somebody that we would add to the board. He looks pretty solid. Overall, though, this is kind of a weaker draft class. Like, you've got Mitchell Taylor at the top of the board who looks pretty okay. You've got Bryce Ward as a playmaker who looks pretty okay. And then you had the other guys that I brought up down the board that look decent. Other than that, though, nothing incredibly special when it comes to the receiver spot. Now we've got a very short section to cover, and that is going to be tight ends. Tight ends are really simple. There's not much you got to look at here. If you see an elite speed tight end like Thomas Diaz here, this dude looks like he could be a freak. Your archetypes are going to be vertical threat, blocking, and possession. Specifically, if I'm looking for tight end, I'm looking for vertical threats. So Thomas Diaz is somebody that absolutely checks the boxes for me. We're going to come over here and we're going to look at his physicals. As a day 3 guy, this dude looks absolutely sick. But you got your top end guys who are going to look pretty good. 275 pounds is kind of insane, but he's a possession guy. He's not going to be the fastest. Same with Cesar, also a possession guy. Not going to be the fastest. But these tight ends all collectively look pretty good. But again, where's he at? Thomas, however you want to pronounce it, he looks really good. We checked out his route runnings, his blocking. This guy's an animal. So you can see that when you kind of fact check and go down the board like this. I don't have the like talent projection. I would be willing to bet that Tomas is somewhere in like the second to first round talent. He looks unreal. Now, offensive line, we're going to check this out as just a collective, and I'm just going to do left tackle for this example. You'll come in here and hopefully you have a talent projection because that is really going to matter for offensive linemen. And there's better guards than tackles in prior Maddens. So take that with a grain of salt. It may still be the same way. They don't like to update a lot of things year over year. So that could have been one of the things that didn't get caught in the update. But for offensive line, I specifically would start off with combine or pro day stats. Come over here to bench press, and you're going to look for the just absolute workout warriors, the super strong guys. So we've got 3 here that have 35 plus reps on the bench. So we're going to fact check that with their physicals and see if any of them have elite strength, which one of them does, and it's going to be Rayshawn Fox, as well as Max Dempsey has great. So now we're just going to come to attributes, and we're going to check them out, see how good they actually are. Your best technician so far looks like Caleb Reynolds. Again, he's, a projected top 5 player, but he's around 2 to 3 talent. Somebody like Rayshawn Fox with that physical upside of being an absolute animal when it comes to strength, this is somebody that I would lean towards being a really good player. Plus, he has good power stats when it comes to blocking. We don't have the full story revealed here, but Rayshawn Fox, even though he's not a top 5 projected player, I would be willing to bet is going to be better than the other guy. Another thing before we go into building the board, I almost left this out, so thank you to future me for editing it in. There are going to be player notes when you click into the scouting report of these players. They're not the most important thing in the world, but for quarterbacks, I do think they are important because they're going to tell you the throw motion, and they're going to tell you if a player throws a tight spiral. So Juan McKinney is somebody that does have a good throw motion and does throw a tight spiral. Throwing a tight spiral is very important in this game. When you have those idiots that throw just absolutely wobbly meatball subs to the defense, that's because you don't have a tight spiral. That'd be the most important in the player notes. The tell that tells you if they're like a generational player or a, high dev trait guy is not in the player notes anymore. So you don't have to worry about just like, oh, I got free information, unless somebody else has figured out a way. But player notes, you can check into these and find out a little bit about the guys. It really comes down to their traits more than anything. But quarterback, you do want to dive into the player notes, see if it's going to be a throw motion you like, and if they have that tight spiral. Okay, now that we've got offensive line out of the way, I went ahead and I added some guys as favorites. So you'll see that when we make it to the actual draft process, but you do understand what you're kind of looking for when it comes to offensive linemen. Defensive line is going to be a little bit different. So you are going to be looking at archetypes as your first tell with defensive line, specifically edge. Speed rushers, power rushers, those are going to be your traditional pass rushers. You're also going to see run stoppers, and I think there's one more. No, that's college. Sorry. We run a college football channel as well. If you're interested in that kind of thing, go check it out. Subscribe to the channel. We put out a lot of videos over there as well, a lot of rebuilds and stuff. But edge rushers, you are going to come over here to physicals. The things you're going to be looking for, acceleration. Mitch Barrett has elite acceleration, which already points me in the right direction, plus great speed. This is somebody, I don't need to see anything else. I already know he's going to be good. He has that elite acceleration. But you want to find guys that have really top-end acceleration and good speed to go with it. Agility is kind of whatever. And then you're going to come into attributes. So Mitch Barrett is going to have A in finesse moves, but he has a C in power moves. This does not hurt him. He's got C in block shedding. This really does not hurt him because you're going to have to come down to, it's not even an example in this class, to one of the run stoppers to find usually higher than C block shedding. Now, Mitch Barrett is nowhere near a generational player because you're going to see a B or higher on the block shed, higher on the power moves, just a more overall complete player. Mitch Barrett is going to fall into the line of a pass rush specialist. So that's perfectly fine. He looks really, really good when you break down the physical profile. 6'1", 262, 22 years old, A finesse moves, that elite acceleration with great speed. It's going to be a good player. Absolutely is just going to be a good player. Might not be the highest overall player. And again, those player notes I was talking about, it'll kind of tell you a little bit with the traits on a guy like Mitch Barrett It's going to tell you if he uses the swim move or the bull rush move or whatever traits he's going to have. So on the left edge, there's not a lot of just like, holy wow, these are great players. Again, your first tell is obviously going to be the talent range. If you know the talent range, that's going to tell you the most. But I would, again, come through here, filter by your acceleration, try and find a combination of speed and excel. There's not an exceptional one here, so we're going to have to dive a little bit more into the attribute ranges, and we are going to look for good power moves and good finesse moves. If a guy has A power moves and F finesse moves, if they have F in the non-dominant category, basically was what I'm saying, you can ignore it. It doesn't mean they're a bad player. Then the example that I was looking for on the left side that you're going to see here is going to be Derek Hearns here, 6'6", 290 pounds basically. This is a 3-4 interior defensive lineman, but he is listed as an edge, and he looks like he would be so much better than everyone else here, and we'll probably add him to the board and draft him. He's 21. He does look good, but this is basically a defensive tackle. This is not the same thing as scouting Chris Hampton here. There's a gigantic weight difference. There's going to be a gigantic speed difference for the most part, and he's not really like a pass rush specialist. However, he is solid at it. So Derek Hearns is going to be a really good player. He just scheme dependently is probably not going to fit everyone's scheme. But if he does, again, he's a really, really good player. Now let's talk defensive tackles. So there's not going to be a major physical tell here. Yes, you could come into the bench press and you can just find an absolute strength monster. Yes, you can come in here to 40 time and find an absolute burner on the interior. But none of those are really going to tell the tale when it comes to defensive tackles. You can come through here and you can go through the physicals, and it'll give you a pretty good idea that players are going to be good. Like elite speed for Reggie Monroe, this dude's probably going to be pretty sick. Same with Antoine Sweet. We're just going to add him to the board right now. Dude's got elite in like everything physical. So we would just come over here, attributes, check them out, see what they look like. Antoine Sweet. Yeah, this dude's absolutely unreal. 6'1", 300 pounds with those kinds of stats and then that really good speed to go with it. Yeah, Antoine Sweet, I mean, we're not onto a generational player, but we are definitely onto like a first round talent right there in the third. But they are going to be a lot like your edge rushers. So they're going to be different archetypes. And nose tackles are going to be more traditional, like block shed, power move types, like Levi Emerson. Like all these guys actually look kind of good. So this is a good example for defensive tackles. Thank you, EA, for a good generation there. But your nose tackles are going to be a lot more on the block shed strength end. They're going to be higher in weight, like Tyson Cameron down here and Tremaine Demps. Probably both going to be really good players just because they're so fat and they have good block shedding. But if you're coming into speed rushers and power rushers, you obviously want to look for the power and the finesse moves with a block shedding combination. Awareness as well obviously helps. Awareness usually means like if they have A awareness, they're going to be a higher overall than say somebody like Reggie Monroe, but Reggie might be a better overall player. Now we're going to get into linebacker overall as just a whole. Sam, Mike, and Will, same things go for all these guys. There are your archetypes that I believe Field General is the Mike exclusive one, and then the others have the run stopper and pass coverage archetypes. I'll make it pretty simple over here. Linebackers just kind of suck in the draft. I would usually up the strength of the class when it comes to linebacker personally, but I'm just looking for a lot of the really good speed and coverage ability. So Nico here, he's got really good speed. He's a pass coverage archetype. He's projected to go in the first round. We're going to combine that with his attributes, and we're going to come over here to coverage. Looks like he's going to be a pretty good player. Tackling, coverage, that's what you're looking for your pass coverage. Run stoppers, I've never really drafted run stoppers, to be honest. I feel like they don't have the upside that your pass coverage guys do on the outside. Inside, it's a little bit of a different conversation, which we'll get into now. But for outside, I kind of just like to go with pass coverage guys. Run stoppers have never really been that crazy to me on the outside. Inside, it's a little bit different. So inside, same rule applies. You can go through here and you can check out the speed. So like somebody like Gordon Beacham, looks like he's going to be pretty good. His acceleration's good. His change of direction's good. Agility's good. Looks like he's going to be a good player. Same with Floyd Denard and Dylan Whitworth. So we're just going to highlight those three guys specifically. Come over here to Combine. and everything kind of checks out. Their speeds all, look about in the range that you'd expect. And then we just cross-check it with attributes. Same again, linebackers. What you're looking for your inside linebackers is going to be coverage. Block shedding is an underrated one. Hit power is an underrated one. And then tackling, awareness, play rec. So somebody like Jake Miller being one of those run stoppers I was talking about looks pretty good. We like the look of Jake Miller. On top of that, Jake Miller is 21, so he's even younger, so he's going to be really, really good. And he's 250 pounds. His physical upside is not as high as the pass coverage guys that we just added to the board, but this is absolutely a player that you would want to draft that's probably a first-round talent. The tell here is just having really good attributes within the main categories of linebacker, plus the height and weight combo really does help. And then the other guys are standouts because they're physicals. Okay, now we are moving into the secondary. Corner and safety is vastly different. Safety, I'm probably going to go on a rant because I just hate the way that EA generates safeties in their football games. I was a safety, all right? So it's prideful for me, but I've heard they kind of fixed that for Madden. So we'll check when we get there. There is a combination that I like to go for. You can check out the speed. Obviously, that's going to be a big thing. But since Tariq Woolen has made it into the NFL, if you come through here, there's going to be a lot of these really massive corners. I like finding those. Somebody like Quincy Baker looks absolutely sick as a round 3 to 4 projection. He has all the attributes that you're looking for. So we'll just cross-check Quincy Baker when it comes to physicals. Unfortunately, he's going to be more of a solid speed guy. But this is absolutely still a draftable player. We'll check that. And check into the speed here. Elite speed, great speed. You want to go for high physical upside for your secondary players because, again, it's hard to upgrade speed. It's hard to upgrade, like, throw powers. It's hard to upgrade the physical tools. So having good acceleration, good speed is going to be very important, especially at a position like corner. So Eric Henley, it's somebody that's worth taking a deeper dive into. Dudley Haskins, definitely worth taking a deeper dive into. Tim Jackson, again, just anybody with speed, just take a look. Now, the attributes you're going to be actually looking for when it comes to corners is going to be their coverage abilities, play recognition. Those are the specific ones. A lot of them are going to have really high tackling, which is kind of whatever. But we find somebody like Dudley here. He is a zone archetype. He's going to have A, zone coverage, B, press, C, man. So he's going to be overall a pretty good corner. The best one that I see here is actually going to be, besides Quincy Baker, he has the like attributes out the you know what. But Eric Henley, he is a zone archetype with B man coverage. This is going to be a really, really good player. So if you're able to find a combination like that where they look good at both, that's probably your tell that that's going to be a really good player. Now, safeties. There's going to be 3 archetypes: zone, run support, hybrid. And what we're looking for with safety, again, come over to the physicals, see what they're at. They're only going to generate up to good speed. It goes the same way for strong safety. So we're going to jumble this all into one. You can check out some change of direction. Somebody like Shaq Gore has elite change of direction with good speed. Absolutely add him to the board. Check him out. See what he looks like. And then we'll cross-check this. Ronnie Green, a first-round strong safety, also has that elite change of direction. So boom, we've got our physicals out of the way. We understand hybrids. Hybrids, if you've played college football, you understand that's their new archetype. That's like they're good at man, zone, and coming down to the box. That's typically going to be your best archetype. It's also the one that generates literally the most. So safeties, what you're going to be looking for: tackling, man and zone, specifically zone. You want your guys to be good at playing zone coverage. Shaq Gore, somebody in the 3rd to 4th round, looks like he's going to be the best safety here, even if he's not the highest overall. Marcus Burke is probably going to be the highest overall because of what I was telling you earlier about awareness. Shaq Gore, though, is probably going to be the highest upside safety in the class. He's not the best at tackling. Pursuit is going to be something you can look at. Block shed, it doesn't really matter as a safety. If you have high block shed, cool. Like Cesar Ramirez is going to be a good run fit safety, but this is somebody that you would probably move down into the box to play linebacker. So the guys that I think look good here is going to be Marcus Burke and Shaq Gore. Now over to the strong safety spot. Again, you're looking for the exact same things. There's literally no difference in the way that EA generates either of the positions. The only safety that is worth anything is Ronnie Green, because there's only 2 safeties that generate it. So I can finally have my safety rant. EA, what is your problem with the safety position? What is it? What is your beef with the safety position? Because there's like 5 that generate every single year. And in college football, there will be 350 that generate, and only 3 of them have above like 92 speed. What is your problem with safeties? I just don't get it, man. I just don't understand. But anyways, after the information overload, we will come back here to the board. We will have a board that looks like this with the favorites. This is a lot of players. An absolute boatload of players. You're not going to be able to draft all of these players. It's just not going to happen. But when you make it into the draft, you're going to have a collection of these guys that you can sit here and draft. And we're going to do a little bit of a review on some of these guys. I'm going to draft like one of each position group. Now, another thing that you can check is going to be the mock drafts. The mock drafts in the past have unfortunately been, and cover your ears if you like immersion, mock draft 5 usually is the exact draft order and where these players are going to go. So I'm hoping it's not that way this year. I haven't really looked into it enough. I haven't done rebuilds and all that kind of stuff that I usually do. Been a little bit behind the curve. We're managing 2 channels here. Cut me some slack. But usually you can come through here for your mock drafts and see basically where players are going to end up getting drafted. Unfortunate thing, but it has existed in the past. Okay, now we are actually in here into the draft, and we've covered the bulk of it, but the way that I like to attack the draft is going to be your high priority guys. Juan McKinney is going to be taken if we don't take him here. So we're going to come in and we're going to draft the quarterback. He's going to give us our fun little presentation, whatever. He is 36 in true talent, which we kind of already knew. Doesn't have the best speed. Oh my goodness, this menu is like disgusting right now, and I can't actually scroll over to see if his throw power is good. So that's cool, and it's just pitch black. Never change, EA, never change. But again, like I said, we absolutely dismantled the Cowboys roster, so we've got a boatload of draft picks. So I would draft my highest priority position if it's a quarterback that's going to go early. Take the quarterback early. If it's, something along those lines, again, just take the players early. Now we are going to take Bryce Ward, another receiver, just to compare him alongside Taylor. And Bryce Ward is a better receiver when it comes to overall and hidden development trait as a playmaker, kind of like I would think. Now we're going to take the solid safety in Ronnie Green, who is ranked at 20 in true value, 89 speed, hidden development trait. We like it. Then for our offensive line example, we're going to take Rayshawn Fox. We're going to compare these guys. Boom, excellent pick. We're going to compare these guys at the end. Again, 96 strength, hidden development trait. We're going to compare these guys at the end with the top projected players. So just remember those in your head, who they were. We're just going to compare them all and show you that this philosophy does work. Reggie Monroe was the sick defensive tackle, and then we're going to take Antoine as well. But this is an average pick. Reggie's not that crazy. So the defensive tackle that we were hyping up a lot, Antoine Sweet, he's projected number 6 in true value. We took him at number 30. He was around 3 to 4 projected player. Comes in with hidden development trait, 81 speed. Dude's he's unreal. Then Eric Henley, the corner that I was talking about, I was like, oh, he's going to be the best one in the draft. Boom. Number 2 in true talent, 95 speed, hidden development trait. Again, we are nailing it in this draft. Then we drafted Quincy Baker, the other corner that was very technically sound but wasn't the fastest. He's going to come in at number 9 in true talent with 90 speed at 6'3". Dude is unreal. Okay, so we are officially going to take a look at some of these guys that we drafted. Again, we had like 37 picks. So we had a lot to choose from. But we're going to start off with the highest overall, and that's going to be Eric Henley. He was projected as like a 3rd to a 4th round corner. Comes in as an 81 overall. Again, with the idea of they changed up the menus. Doesn't work the same as it used to. This guy's unreal. This is almost a generational corner. He's actually unreal, and he was like a 3rd round projected player. He's going to come in with hidden development trait. Then you look at the rest of our guys. Rayshawn Fox. He was the tackle that I was like, you know what? Just based off the strength profile, he's going to be probably the top tackle in the class. Well, again, I was right. If you check it as the totality of the draft, I'm not going to say we got the highest overall player because, again, there were some top-end players that I didn't draft Jason Murphy, the center, who we did have on our board, as well as Keon Poole, one of the guards we had on our board. Derek Murphy, again, another guard we had on our board. And then Emmett, the running back. We didn't draft him because he went before we even had a pick. So we couldn't take him. But he does look really, really good. So Emmett validated absolutely right there. 95 excel, 90 speed is a power back. This dude's insane. I'm not going to lie. His change of direction's kind of like steamy, but he's kind of sick. But again, enough glaze of the running back. We had an absolutely unreal draft. Yes, we had a boatload of picks, but it wasn't really that hard to find these guys. With the, strategy and the philosophy that I kind of gave you in this video, you should be able to find these guys as well. And the thing is, we had some duds here or there. We had some players that were not really that good. Like, where's he at? The receiver. Not Bryce Ward. He was good. Where's the other receiver? The Alabama receiver. Mitchell Taylor. He wasn't really that great. When it comes to, like, dev trait and full-on overall, he wasn't that great. So we kind of missed there. But for a general majority, we hit hidden development trait out of, say there's like 20 picks here. We hit hidden development trait at like 17 or 18 out of the 20. So again, I'm hoping that helps you guys out a ton when it comes to your scouting and your draft process inside of Madden 27. I know this was a little bit of a long one, but there is a lot of information to process. There's a lot of information to go over when it comes down to knowing what is going to be the best players to draft. But again, I appreciate you guys hanging out, sticking around for this long one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Consider subscribing to the channel, liking the video, commenting on the video, helping us fight that YouTube algorithm as we try and grow this Madden channel. Also, if you're interested in college football, please check out my college football channel. It will be linked down below. That's actually the main channel. But you know what? They're both the main channel. We love football around here.